Okay, so like me, I'm still thinking about the impression that like Jade Sally is definitely reflecting the that Jack's father and God's grandparents that new going impression and like Jade Sally might have been like the person who might have created like the three-dining games because like the fighters in like the world might have not felt like challenging enough but like the dangers of like the world might have totally felt like not challenging enough for like Jade Sally. Like but Jade Sally might have been kind of like an overconfident person and like might have been like a mixed up place from her as well. But like but when like due to that overconfidence, like he might have wanted to create like a board that like challenging that would be challenging and exciting enough for him. And like that way like he might have created like the rewriting game. If the new member ended into like the rewriting game might have been what might have happened in like the Anderson last new member anyway. So like still he might have not been able to complete like the rewriting and still was like him not being able to complete like the rewriting game into the person like and like even like Jetsari might have left like that green box like kind of thing for with something as well. It's a new thing. So like before Jetsari entering into a rewriting game like the king might have been born like it might have been like and Jetsari might have given king like the baby king to basically his latter relative to be most likely Anito's mother, supplement friend and like that. So Anito's parents might have not had enough of like terminality, might have still not been able to like have kids and like they might have been sad about it. So like I'm thinking like during that time might have been and they suddenly might have knew this. So like I'm going to suddenly might have given like the baby game to Anito's parents and so like that way game might have grew up with like Anito might in that the village of Stone might have been what might have happened, especially when playing. So like I was in that green box that like James Valley might have left for change. And I was wondering like the condition while James Valley might have given the baby game to like Amito's parents might have been just for like Amito's parents to like never reveal to like things that they believe about like James Valley being father. Is definitely one of the ambitions. So like Jade Sullivan before entering into the dairy dining, they might have also changed his name from Jade. Might have been what might have happened from Jade Priest to like Jade Sally, and like basically Sally might be like the name of either like Jade like late wife or like his late mother. Definitely one of the ambitions. So definitely and so like I was looking like even from like childhood like might have naturally like that so then like the real game might have been totally getting popular. So like even from his childhood like and the game might have been so extremely and like has this like ultimate goal to like basically since like King might have even from his childhood might have had like access to like powers and everything naturally. So like I'm thinking that she might have been so naturally gifted that easily might have been able to like access and powers even from just like childhood, especially when I was young. So like I'm thinking Jing might have even since then might have had this like ultimate goal to basically be like the first person to like complete like this like ultimate career game that might have been totally getting popular throughout the world during that time of chemicals. So like I was wondering like eventually after and like the conditions that Jessery might have also told so like and it was pattern might have been to like basically to only like give the like green box to that game only once like game has become a hunter and only just that game becomes eventually becomes a hunter and it game badly want to see his father only then to like basically to give the green box to game might have been what like this terminator told king especially when premise but like I'm bring like through that green box like and that green box like there might have been only like an empty memory card as well as like a voice recording containing tape of like tape study might have premise so like through that like I was like eventually yeah that was like Anito's sister as well like basically or and getting married might be solely due to that them having that one main thing in common that the like they both like Anita's sister as well as he might have been so like had their ultimate goals their common ultimate goal might have been to basically play like and to be like the first person to like play and to complete like period and again but you know when that goal might have been bought for that sort fact that might have brought like Ging as well as like Anmito's sister close. And eventually they might have gotten married, might have been like it might have all happened due to that them both having that one common goal with new memory ambition. So like my tutorial reference that like it might have been through that information of data that might be present within like that memory empty memory card which might have been what like King might have got that Usually, like King and his like wife might have ended up with like Batra in the first like this we get their hands on like video editing it. So like I'm going through Batra like I'm doing like and about from like Batra might have been having like a bunch of memory cards as well. With the name of the renders and it's all like Jeff Sally might have given to like Batra before like entering into the video editing and like just like basically the fact that like gets and even to the person like basically searching for like him like even having like on the hunter's website like being even like in Jets are even putting up like basically about him this like thing that basically that he's actually searching for like the real game as well as like a fully completed memory card. Like another thing in the past might have been like a Real Island game as well as like an empty memory card. It's definitely remember it. And this would all be like basically to eventually have like game as well as like on basically eventually like end up finding Mr. Batra and through Mr. Batra like them entering them being able to play like the running game and see their need their father to be that to that ensure this happens like if that if game as well as like gone incidents of like badly wanting like see their parents like really so this is intent like I'm referring like not really game but like they sally as well might have that after sort like the help of Batra. And just that might have been going on what might have been going on for the years and like I was like Batra participating in the options and buying up a bunch of driving games and everything like basically it would be all with like the intent to like really have a like game as well as like on eventually end up seeking Batra for like in that to like play the great running game. It's definitely my membership of uh, to in the first election meet the parents, definitely very interesting. So like my impressions are like in being as well as being swipe like just quite plus to like really get their hand on like the grade and again in like the past like at some point like, they might have started like at under school and basically like that might be how like that basically that campus and basically like with its own religions meets with like on in like the very beginning actually I think that even having a revealed that with like the student of change and like when he was showing up to like on village and meeting with like gone might have been he might have not like accidentally ran into like one or something like he might have been totally according to like the order of things to like basically uh once a while to check up on some against some it's just you know the remember. So like my real question is for like the scenario that might have happened maybe like the answers to like white back then might have prepared so much to like really to play and complete like the period and again before like entering like the period and again Jackson's like uh definitely they had to like basically to have someone to like really take care of that so while they will be playing like the period and again like I'm wondering what might have happened would be like maybe like I'm wondering like they might have like totally told his like favorite student to like totally look up and gone might have been what might have happened since so might have been like that student like King that might have taken care of like the baby born and I was like at that point like King as well as his wife might have been so stingy or confident in that like they will be able to like complete like the career running game without much great at all. It's like might have been like the scenario back then as well like what that mindset might have been. But like after entering like the dining game, like King as well as like things like might have been like totally shocked, like the extreme difficulty of entering the dining game. Yet like I'm different like usually as like they from the stand and was like they might have started the way like usually from the thing ahead and then the like usually game might have been and maybe his wife as well might have eventually reached the point where like Jade's study had reached and might have been struggling for a long time within like the who basically this obstacle that we might have not been able to cross it in like learning so like they are like I'm doing like King as well as his wife might have totally either King has unbelieving him like King has and his wife might have totally seen Jade Sally and basically Jack at that point like the whole father son like whole thing that might have happened and at that point like I'm looking like they might have like interacted and basically and like I'm looking like maybe it might be during the interaction that like King might have totally uh, King and his wife might have totally realized that usually that is in fact like Jade's Sally's best friend and everything and was like helping them eventually be able to like play the real game as all that different time and everything. It's definitely maybe like them realizing that and anyway like I'm looking like either King as well as his wife might have proceeded ahead and maybe like right before King as well as his wife might have been about to like complete like the Great Island game. It might have been like just before that like his wife might have like definitely my reaction. Or like I was like the location where like within like the Great Island game where Gates Valley is struggling would be towards like the end of like the Great Island game. So like I was right before that like King's wife might have died. So like then King it might be after that like King might have seen like Gates Valley. So like I was like then like after that whole interaction like King might have completed the Great Island game and might have like I was like before completing the Great Island game like automatically the person would be able to like leave like the Great Island game and head back into like, the real world. It's definitely my brain. So like that way King might have left back and made it back to like the real world and so like definitely my impression is that King as well as his wife might have also recorded like the individual voices onto that tape intended for John to be able to like share one sweet videos of like basically all that like basically they would have recorded the voice onto the tapes before entering it to like video and it might have been happened and basically like after like Bond's mother had died like basically at that point I was for like once like King completed the career and again like King might have totally pulled out like somebody that saved that containing that memory card from like the station and then was from like King might have put all of that and then like everyone King might have also like from that like, King might have totally learned from like the example of like basically King losing his like from like the experience of like basically King losing his like wife due to like the fear and so like King might have been like unlike King's father like James like King might have been so still even more concerned about like continuously playing the Great Island game in search for to find game and all that. So like I'm looking after along with like the tape recording containing the voices of King as well as King's wife like and something like they might have also along with that like King might have also like added like not only the memory card containing like the save data still that memory card also hopefully containing like that detail about that and like then King might have also like the ring like that basically through which like one will be able to like remove like the save data even while someone will be able to like remove like the save data even while a person is like playing like the real game like that thing like might have been created by game and not their satisfaction creation. It might have been processed game like learning from his experience of like basically losing his wife through like the real games that I'm like uh, King might have like to save it to and ensure the safety to increase the probability like bond not ending up dying in the real game like King might have created like this like nen ring and like might have added that as well into like that green box and seal that green box with the nen box and might have given that green box along with that bond to that Anito. Because like at that point I'm whispering like King might have like felt that basically King might have been totally being secure about like facing God. Or like I'm whispering like it might be due to like King totally not wanting to like stay in like the real world anymore. And King wanting to like head back into like the Three Island world of like Three Islands is also like a possibility that I'm sorry. Maybe like I'm whispering like the world of Three Island not having like the limitations of logic that like the real world will be having might be along the lines that King might have felt so like until something maybe or like it might be due to, like King only being unable to like face Gone because like King might have feared like the possibility of like Gone totally disliking King and ask like how Gone will be reacting if like Gone eventually finds out that basically like the reason Gone's mother had died was like due to King might have been like the case of Stephen inspiration because of like them not like playing the rewriting game. So like I'm going King might not only fear like was would have like gone as if he was like blaming King and all that. So like I'm going King might have not wanted to like be around Gone uh like as like grow to see Gone like grow up and basically starting to like ask questions like mother and then like blaming and accusing King of like basically taking the life of his mother and everything. So maybe it might be due to that, like, it's also like about with that King might have to like escape back into like and live in like the career running game. So like I was hoping like then King might have only that what King might have done might have been that King might have totally head back to like Bagra and like Sooner might have given King that kind of the spare empty memory card and King might have entered back into the career dialing game and even to the present, like since entering into the career dialing game, and being might or not like the career dialing game since was definitely one of the immersion. So definitely like that thing that Bond got through from within that green box might have been solely created by King alone, especially with the realization. So that might be intended by King so that like basically once like Bond would be like King might be rolling to that basically if like Bond eventually ends up badly wanting to like meet King, then like Bond as well will be eventually ending up exactly like King that Bond as well will be eventually ending up with like yeah, ending up meeting like Batra might have been like that hope that like King might have had. So like I'm looking like hope of confidence that King might have had. So like at that point for like and King might have totally told Batra that they really before re-entering into like this real game, like King might have totally told Batra that basically that about like the green box, about him giving us like sun, like the green box containing like the ring, like non-powered ring that he had created, that King had created, which using which using which like one will be able to like remove like the save data, so that like basically and King might have told that Batra that basically that Bond eventually want to like find King, then Bond will be that definitely eventually ending up with like Batra. So that like at that point, like King might have told Batra that if such a scenario happens, then Batra should like take care to like do his like absolute maximum to ensure that Gon doesn't die exactly like how King's wife had died basically within like the real animals. And so like basically I'm supposing like the scenario would be like definitely usually once that Batra would be agreeing to like Gon playing the one like Batra would be usually letting Gon play the real anime game. At that point I'm going to take Batra totally making the conditions to like both Gon and Killua to like basically uh, like a certain time limit or like a specific date from within which like Gon and Killua should like complete like the career dining game. It's not like background using the ring and removing like the save data. And I was wondering like the removing like save data would be that like safety line which like it could be what like precisely game might have intended by creating like the non-powered ring of because like I was seems like not to play the grid dining game on top of the grid dining game theory like for each player like the memory card is still are required like so like basically it's like while a person is like playing with real running game with like some another person who's in like the real world like uses like then entering and remove like the data like say data of that person like then that person will be returning might be able to like return back into like the real world at that point of like so then at that point the self like might enter in person so like that way like it might have been created by like an electric might have been created by King as like a safety line so that like basically to prevent to increase the possibility of preventing like Ron basically getting trapped in like the career dialing game and like basically eventually struggling his way into like eventually not being able to like make any progress and eventually getting tired and exhausted and weakened and eventually throw that trap like the possibility of like Ron ending up eventually dying in the career dialing game to totally avoid that like I'm like Jing might have totally given the Jing might have totally given that yeah, might have probably given that like ring create he might have probably created that and ring and given it to like given it to like Badra, telling Badra to like if Bond ends up like showing up to like wanting to like play the great running game that then tell Bond to like basically complete like the great running game within a specific data so that like basically if Bond doesn't complete the game within that time period like basically within that date like basically Badra could only use like pen and ring and basically like pull out like don't save that and that way save Bond from like ending up dying in like the career island game. This might be like the precise purpose behind like the creation of like the non-powered ring which was present in like the box, green box which like Wong had got. It's definitely my personal reimbursement by culture. And my perception that it might have been up for that same or just to like that or that they believe that James might have oriented back into that career writing game. Might have been what might have happened is that you know the mission might be the reason for like that even knowing about like the non-powered ring. It's definitely my perception. So like basically in short like my personal impressions that basically even though it don't only have a single memory card right now, like I was thinking still by the time like that I will be letting Bond play that career writing game like I was thinking by then Bond will be like only Killua and Gon will be sad that like they would have like say goodbye to each other. But like at that point, I'm so frame like that is happening is like the better are putting out like another thing, the Great Island game memory card and giving it to like Killua. And basically at that point, like Killua and get like observing like that at that point, just telling Gon and Killua that like the specific day within which like they have to like complete like the Great Island game or like he will be totally using like that Batra would be else like Batra would be totally using like then entering by then like Batra would be like asking Gon to like give it to him and basically that at that point like Batra would be telling Gon that basically Gon and Killua doesn't complete the Great Island game within this like specific date which like Batra would be telling them. Then Batra would be removing those two like save that of Gon and Killua and that way like their journey would be over like in like Great Island game would be over and they would be like returning back into like the real world might be along the lines like I'm looking back most likely telling Gon and Killua before like Gon letting Gon and Killua play the real and against like in the scenario that I'm putting and that's what like our exactly like Batra through his like henchmen has basically assessed like the power of like Gon and Killua and basically with like Batra's henchmen being like totally unimpressed by that and even thinking that Gon and Killua won't be able to like survive at all in within like the Great Island game. Like right now, like I'm still thinking about the mention that like the twist would be happening. That I'm also thinking to happen right now would be definitely because Black for Africa and Black for Africa's situation as Black for Africa is right now about kind of like about to die and that is sort of about like for Africa right now. Even seeing like being able to like see like that people like Hogan as well as like Papinola so like I was saying, like in the case of Vogan, like definitely during that Vogan steps since like the net chain effect for Africa was tied to that both Vogan as well as like Papinola during like their times of their that like I was saying definitely because of written numbers like definitely during Vogan steps like really since like Vogan might have definitely had that like villain of it that like towards like Kurapik at the moment of like Wogan stuff like that might have been it might have been since then like I was going like since Wogan stuff might have been like solely due to like Wogan dying with like such a villain in that against like Kurapika but like Wogan possibly might have died while desiring like the complete destruction of like for destruction and suffering and that of like Kurapika might have been like the case might have been what might have happened back then. So, and solely due to that, like I'm going to conduct maybe like Kurapika might have had help like getting worse and worse. And on top of that, like Rapia has felt like not being able to like keep her like net condition of like maintaining a peaceful mind at all times. And basically all that like might have only just collectively affected Rapika's health progressively more and more to the point in like the person Kurapika would be about to die. Would be like currently Kurapika situation that never training. But like I was saying that so like Papinoda the reason that like I'm doing it with like Papinoda before her that like Papinoda might not only realize how genuine like the bond of friendship between like Kurapika and Killua is definitely another impression. So Kurapika might have been able to like resonate with that and relate to that with like how genuine like I mean like Papinoda might have been able to like resonate with that and relate with that to how like genuine Papinoda's like this her feeling of gratefulness and that's her absolute bond of like her absolute affection towards like Rolo and everything is that might have arisen within like Papinoda solely due to that extreme gratitude that might be within like Papinoda for like certainly like the past system of like it might have been all of that might have saved saved like Papinoda from dying some extreme situations like the scenario that I was doing. So like since then like Papinoda as well might have had felt the same Flora as that absolute friend, not only just as later, but even before more than that, like Papinoda might have seen that Flora as that absolute great friend of that Papinoda. So like Papinoda that way like seeing the genuinity of that between like Ron Killua and Kurapika and but when like past narratives then might have like had her mindset changed about like Kurapika as well as like Ron and Killua and basically especially Kurapika and basically since then like Pakanara might have had this deep down had like genuine desire to like basically because like Pakanara might have been absolutely certain that like the canon perspective certain many members of the canon won't be like letting go of like Kurapika and Gon and Killua, and that like they will be usually like relentlessly chasing after like the same user and like Gon and Killua, and with that approaching them to like into the take their life. So like at that point, like Kurapika might have, I mean like Pakunoda might have hoped that really at that point like for like by then like for Gon and Killua and the chain user having that absolute strength to be able to like protect themselves from such attacks. So that I'm different themselves from such attacks. Like I'm the friend with this like wish and desire that like I'm the friend like this genuine good wish and desire that I'm the friend like Pakunoda might have died respecting another friend. So like after Pakunoda that like the effect of like Pakunoda while connected to like the main chains of like Kurapika, like basically dying with this absolute genuine good wish, like basically the effect of that like would be like slowly like getting activated right now as like Parapika will be about to die definitely on the trailer. So like I was hoping that like the scenario that I'm looking at right now. So like I was hoping like at that point like as like Parapika would be about to die like basically it's only due to like that twist of Parthenoda taking its effect on Parapika. I'm hoping like that switch of Parthenoda only cancelling out like against like a negative switch involving Sorapika and basically that positive switch of like Parthenoda involving like Sorapika and friends. Like I was wondering maybe it's not just being like Sorapika and Killua, but like even Leorio as well would be getting affected by this like genuine good switch of Parthenoda. Because like maybe Parthenoda might have the only wish that Parthenoda might have been to like really for Sorapika as well as her friends to get have that cultural strength boost or strength up there to be so structurally strong that they will be able to like defend against like the financial members. And even along the lines like Barcelona might have wished. So like if that's the scenario, then I was bringing for maybe not just Chico Rapica and Gona Killua, but also Leoria still getting that major power of share right now. And like along with like the power of their like Rapica also getting shield as well. That's the solidity like Parthenoda of which dying with this like billions of scenarios that I'm bring. So that way like I'm like Parthenoda Sorabiga's like in the straight away getting health Sorabiga's health straight away getting restored and basically Sorabiga getting that major power of care as well as like Gon and Killua who right now whose strength is like totally found unimpressive by like the henchmen of Batra like at that right now itself like I was like with like Parthenoda's bit ending up being through dying with and from being through like I'm Gon and as well as Killua getting that sudden surge of like superior supreme power with like a superior power of like scenario that I'm looking in that way like within just like few seconds like I'm looking right now for like Gon as well as Killua like basically the strength like then surpassing that of like that main bodyguard of like that is like the scenario that I'm to bring and like that way like I'm going to bring it right now with like Pink and like the other kind of group member like right now stealing away like the game like the station containing like the game from game of like Gilead Island from like the henchmen of Batra like I'm going to bring right now itself I'm going to bring like maybe with that certain power like I'm going to bring like John and Sidwa totally feeling absolutely confident and absolutely like even though they will be clueless as to like what happened like they will be like that surge of power to make them so much relaxed, so much like confident in their strength that basically them totally like by then like I'm looking like most likely better getting a call that basically they were attacked by one of the like henchmen that basically that like they were attacked and basically like the game was like stolen by these mysterious people around the client. So like at that point I was like gone and Killua straight away running towards like with their enhanced powers like them being able to like detect like where exactly that the person stealing and trying to get away with sexually running game and that way like gone and Killua like chasing after like things as well as like job of kind of members before they would be able to I think like his name is things anyway it goes to kind of members before they would be able to like make it back to their base like I'm going go and kill slowly catching up to them, defeating them. And the fear was open to that newly upgraded powers like go and kill totally overpowering and defeating force to find the members and taking back that uh, taking back that Career Island game to and bringing it back to that Batra like the scenario that I'm looking and Batra at that point that totally putting on a fake actor is like he's like totally because he's that totally pleased with like Ron and Killua helping him out that basically in exchange of Ron and Killua helping him out like he is going to like help Ron and Killua back with like rewarding them with the chance to play the Great Island game, and like him also handing out like an empty memory card to like Killua as well. So that like Gon and Killua would be like together like entering to the Great Island game. It's like the scenario that I'm remembering. And I believe that would that would be like an absolute fake act of Vadra because like if Gon and Killua had the strength right now in like the present before like the time which of like Hatanoda coming through and like Gon and Killua getting that surge of power. Like even before that, like if Gon and Killua had in fact a lot of strength and power, like then that even without doing any favors to like that would have totally played along to like the will and wishes of that game as well as that Jade Sally and might have allowed them to like might have really helped them and allowed Gon to like easily play the career and engage. Especially so that like Gon could like totally find his like father. Definitely my secondary and production right now. Yes, so like definitely military production right now as for like backdrop right now revealing about this item within like the career and game that allows players to be able to like return back to like the real world. Like I'm referring that item would be most likely the very same name ring that like don't have like I'm wondering it would be that there will be that very same kind of like name ring like far into like the career and again maybe that it will get after like a player reaches like the halfway point like or like the entire journey of the career and again which will be extremely dangerous and difficult like I'm wondering like even making it to like the halfway point would be like halfway point would be like a main checkpoint. So like considering a player would have like reached that halfway point to for him to be able to like get his hand on that Nendra within like the career and again. And it will be only at that point that like that player using that Nendring from within like the career and game will be able to like turn back into like the real world. Definitely my consideration impression. So like my very impression right now is that maybe like Gon's mother, like his wife might have died while she might have gotten so close to like getting her hands on that then ring. Definitely was right before as she was about to get her hands on like the ring, right before that like including some monster or like some villain within like created within the clear and game that basically might have taken the life of that Gon's mother. Just definitely my very so like that might be where like Ron's mother might have died within like the video again, and then again might have picked up that net ring and might have quickly returned back to like the real world with like his like late wife, and basically that might be how that thing might have totally brought back like the dead body of that basically that of like his wife and late wife to like Don's village and basically he might have like conducted the funeral and might have after like leaving Don as well as I think I'm just thinking about the reason that like right then it's he might have not only left Don with like unmetal, he might have also maybe then itself that like he might have even left the green box with like unmetal as well and straight away Ging might have only returned back like Ging might have been totally maybe in like the frozen kind of like a state because like Ging might have totally not like think like his wife to like die end up dying in the career and game. So like he might have been totally thinking that him as well as his wife would definitely give that clear and complete in the career game. So that might have been that overconfidence within Dean as well as his wife back then definitely the immersion. So yeah, like they might have also considered like the worst case scenario and that may be the third reason for like getting as well as his wife like in that having like a tape of their voice recording within that screen and box left for the new memory version. So like after like his like voice that like and after that you know after handing over Dawn to like giving Dawn as well as the green box to like me to like another thing like King straight away without him saying anything like this straight away like rushing back out of that Bond village like would be precisely due to like King and like at that point like King's mind would be totally frozen and like the only thing in King's mind might be to like literally get back into like the greater game and finish like the greater game. It's definitely one of the frame version. So that might have been what might have happened. So like from that checkpoint location, like King might have returned back into the career and game. And then King alone might have completed like the career and game. Even Jade Sally, like who would be like King's father, like even while it's revealed that Jade Sally has not completed the career and game, still like after like King's fights that like I'm like King might have only been in like a different kind of like a mood, and then was like the time like I was thinking might have played like the remaining of the cricket and game as in like he has that good nothing to lose, and it will be that way King might have completed like the cricket and game. King at that point might have been like the first person to like complete like the cricket and game. But like I was thinking after like complete and midway like he might have totally even met and interacted with like Jade Salim like father as well might have been what might have happened. But like I was thinking after like completing the cricket and game like King might have until then like I'm maybe good as well as this like wise like their ultimate goal might have been to like be the first to like complete the Real Island game and spread that word to like the rest of like the world, and that whole credit of being like the first to complete the such an extremely difficult game like with that popularity maybe like they might have decided that it's also like a possible that and was a thing like to be known for like be the for us like the one of like the strongest people in like the entire world who are only able to like the ones that were able only able to like complete like the great game and the first to do it like is to be known over all over like the world for this might have been actually initially like Ging as well as Ging's vice but like I was looking after Ging's vice like that like I'm looking Ging might have been sorry early in like a kind of like a cold kind of like a move. So like I was looking Ging after like completing the career and it might have kept it a secret from like the rest of the world. This is really might have been and there was like James Sally as well, like his goal as well might be like the very like James Sally and I would remember like James Sally before entering the career and again like James Sally might have given Patra like the set of dates like before which like James Sally might have told Patra that like he would if like he doesn't complete it like the or like it won't be like that or like it might be to like the people like he like the very first set of options to his like they're selling while hiding his like provider which he might have donated his like a bunch of his like great writing game like basically at that point like they selling might have given them this like kind of like an instruction or like they selling might have told them that basically if like they selling doesn't complete like the great writing game within the specific date like then that free island those sets of free island games should be like donated to like move to like another option and to look for like another option means really that way like they're selling like a set of multiple days games to the future. So and I'm looking like so like these great any games that way might have been coming around depending on the so like in the current present like you have an option as well like there being like a date within which like it dates early doesn't complete a great writing game like the great writing game are supposed to that are supposed to be donated to like the southern seas of Finland, all that will be like all part of like this intent of like Gate Salis settlement. So like Gate Salis ultimate goal as well was the be most likely to basically complete like the great game. After entering like the great game, Gate Salis might have only realized that we seeing like the extreme difficulty of like the great game, the world that he himself has might have created like Gate Salis might have wanted to be like they believe. Gate Salis and along with that journey might have seen like a lot of like popular and especially strong hunters from like the real world like ending up dying in front of them due to like the extreme difficulty of it running game. So like at that point like Jessel might have decided to like literally to be like the first to complete like the career running game. And maybe like at that point it's that of that maybe like Jessel might have wanted like Jessel might have maybe not and maybe at that point like Jessel like mindset as well might have changed that basically Jessel might have even desired that popularity and maybe like after completing the career running game Jessel might be even planning on like basically on might have been planning on basically revealing to like the one that you want to create like the great game and everything. But like I'm explaining that all that goals of that great study might have been thoroughly destroyed once like the sun like king might have easily crossed over and let's up as great study and might have completed the plan that kept the great island game. Might have been what might have happened except even with the images. So like the clear save that that's like you can don't that's the don't maybe due to like being most likely having completed like the period island game even before the study. It's definitely not very much. Okay, so that's definitely not the story impression right now as for like the camp Sugera and that's the main bodyguard of like that like him that's the Sugera would friend that would be most likely especially since like he has like 0.2 years like I'm looking like he will be most likely a kill go like that brings up in that the very beginning like basically that gone had basically like faced off against in one of like the like that's like basically and thus the freedom of that's like basically that creature theory for like and which has the power to like shape shift and take human form. Like a preferring definitely like Sasagara would be a theory one that might be like a theory of in human form, and that might be the reason for him having pointy ears. So definitely remember the mention, and that's what like Sasagara when telling Gon and Killua that he has made it to like 80%, completing like 80% of it reading it. That would be like an absolute life. Like that's really like Sasagara right now showing that ring that ring which would I think like would that net power ring like basically in that Sasagara thing of like the film sitting representation that like it would be that item that would be allowing like the players to be able to like return back from like the real games to like the real world. It's definitely my information. So like that would be like a halfway checkpoint location. Like it would be like throughout the total distance of like the journey of completing the real game. It would be exactly at the halfway point that like the players would be getting. The players who would be able to like make it to that exact halfway point would be like the only ones who would be able to like get their hands on like this precise powdering, and that way be able to like make it back into like the real one. So like Sasugara like like Sasugara right now would be only lying about like the 80 and that completing 80% of the period and again in actually Sasugara might have only completed like just only might have made it to like the checkpoint location and might have bottom the ring like that might have been like the maximum that Sasugara might have been able to like progress in like the Korean island game using all of its strengths that we were so together even saying that like he played inefficiently and had got to like 80% of left the Korean island game, that would be an absolute lie. And we should be all expected to like totally to give that absolute pressure to put that absolute pressure on Gon and Killua to basically so that to get Gon and Killua stronger so that like they could play the Korean island game. But we have like according to the promise that most likely that before they Sally that grandpa might have entered into like the career running game like they Sally might have made like that rough promise to like basically to ensure that like it like the son being like incidents of like wanting to like see his father then like he should like better should do everything in his help that everything in his like power to like help him the help in being the able to like play the career running game, but for that as well. So like the very same thing would be about like Batra and even Setsugara would be right now doing with like Gon as Hindu as well. Certainly I mentioned that they would be like when I'm fully aware that like Gon since like Gon has the moment Gon had basically revealed that he has like the completely cleared like saved that as well as like Gon had revealed that he had like the ring like at that point just after it might have been confirmed for like Setsugara as well as like uh as well as like Petra that basically that Gon is like the son of king. So like I'm right now they'll be like Srisigara as well as Petra will be desperately trying to like move it only consciously putting in all that pressure on top of that Gon as well as Killua to like to that aspect and with like Srisigara as well as like Petra basically right now revealing about this exam on September 10th like and those are like also the thing about the three questions right now is that like Srisigara right now will be totally lying about like things and putting on fake as if like he's like thoroughly uninterested with like Gon and he lost like current levels of power. The new level prediction. So there are right now would be genuinely feeling as if like they would be gone and they don't definitely stand a chance if they put in like the efforts by September 10th, that exam that will be taking place in September 10th, like they will be actually able to succeed in that exam and end up passing that exam and at that point like they will be able to like actually at that point like better out as well as the Sugara will be confident that Gon and Killua from that point on, like they will be able to like enter and survive in like the reuniting game, and would be able to like easily meet up with like King. It's definitely my personal impression. So like even Sazugara, as well as Flatter even mentioning like the exams of September 10th will be all to like basically eventually get Gon and Gon to like basically enter into that exam. It's definitely my personal impression. So like this would be exactly what like Flatter would be like genuinely. Flatter as well as Sazugara would be secretly genuinely wanting like they would be like still putting in all that effort to like get Gon to like basically get strong, Gon and Killua to get strong so that like they will be able to like play the entrance play, they will be able to like finally enter and play the great anime game and so that like Gon will be able to like meet King. So like definitely to make that happen would be like the reason for like the way like Chitsugara as well as like Patra to be right now tracking with like Gon and Killua is definitely going to so it will be all like most likely an absolute fake act to help Gon and Killua, especially my very impression right now. Also, the thing about different version is like right now with like Batra right now telling on and Killua how he's going to like basically expand this like advertisement and to attract more strong hunters as well as like Batra even planning on buying all the 7 copies of like the Red game in like the option and developing like basically Batra even saying and revealing all this to like Gon and Killua with that give you like the conscious intent to like basically put in more and more pressure on top of that gone into the so it's really gone to that like they will be like forced to like train like to not to give it their absolute everything into that training and getting stronger and then entering into that exam and even in that exam they will be forced to like basically give it their absolute everything so that like basically so that like for Gordon Killua to feel is really going to feel as like this only chance to play the Green Island game like basically so that like that way like force and put it on that pressure and force Gordon and Killua to like get strong enough to be able to like survive and play the Green Island game and to be able to like that way be able to like for Gordon to be able to like meet things will be like separate reasons for like that or even saying all this to like Gordon and Killua that you remember very much. Also, the name of the production right now for like in this like extent to play the Great Island game like this was taking place in like September 10th and like it wouldn't be just like born and killed by alone that will be entering that exam like I'm going to like definitely I'm also like maybe I remember possibility of like Hisoka possibly being present in that exam and definitely like even more than Hisoka I'm so different like for definitely two more than two fandom group members and moving from that will be two or more than two fan members and definitely for a thing that would be entering in that exam. It's definitely with relevant. So like definitely right now with like think as well as like the other fan member trying to like steering and trying to like get away with that Joe station containing redialing it like I'm whispering like definitely they will be like stopped before they will be able to make it back to like the financial base like I'm sure they did only I'm certain them to totally be stopped by so we are like the scenario that I'm certain so because of that I'm looking like the top material delay or like I'm looking it would be like one of like the henchmen bring like that were attacked like by the Stefan was like still surviving and making straight away calling on the courting to Satugara and Badra about like their games being like stolen, like the Great Island game being stolen and Abusering Satugara swiftly making it making it to the location and confronting like the two Phantom Pro members and like usually this is writing said that so they were offering and defeating those two Phantom Pro members and getting back and bringing back the Great Island game to and bring back the Great Iron Games to that right like the scenarios that I'm looking and that resulting in like the fandom group members like totally feeling in that as because like exact especially in like their whole current situation like and the different like the situation of like Floro as well like Floro missing going right missing from like the group right now and everything like them not having Floro like I'm thinking like the kind of members right now would be like clueless and would be totally bored because like they would without like their leader Floro they would have any proper mission or anything. So like they will be totally bored. So like a bunch of like kind of members would be certainly because of this reason that like I'm looking like Shal as well as like maybe like a bunch of kind of members will be thinking about like playing the career dining game and everything. To pass time, so like that way like I'm looking like a bunch of like kind of members like I'm looking like either two or more kind of members will be taking place, taking part in that very exam to play the career dining game. Like in that very exam, it would be like one and Killua definitely able to like two or more kind of members as well to be present in that exam. And in that exam, I'm going to be like one and Killua only facing off against like those two kind of members and basically Jack Thorne and Killua like totally struggling their way into like eventually by or scoring and defeating both the kind of members. It's like the scenario that I'm looking and as to like how that would be possible for like Gon and Killua. I'm still remember the relation that it would be like through like the dying witch of like Barcelona it will be definitely for like Killua and for Afghan substance to like get a whole lot stronger so that like they will be able to like protect and defend themselves from like panel group, other panel group members. So like this tiny which like so something in that I'm looking like Gon and Killua like doing their absolute best to like train. But like I'm looking like even right on the previous day before like the exam like I'm doing their training not getting any fruitful enough of like the result. So like Gon as well as Killua will be like so extremely disappointed and Gon will be like disappointed even way more and like I was doing like at that point like I'm going to bring like maybe right before like the exam or either during like the very last day of the training at that day will be almost over, like I'm looking like, or it will be like right before entering into like the exam, like either it will be like one of these two scenarios, or like I'm looking while fighting off against like the finals open in as part of like the exam, like while John and Philo with all the struggling, maybe it will be at that point, like it will be either one of these three scenarios, like a time period when I was pregnant, most likely the time wish effect of that Pagnoda handicap being activated and easily going to do out getting that surge of power. And it will be only through that surge of power that like I'm going to like one and will be able to like the key like the two final members will be like the taking place in like that taking part in that exam and fighting up against John and Killua and that will like go after the getting those two final members of the like John and Killua will be like passing that exam and getting qualified to the basically uh, to basically like play the career and game is like the scenario that I was saying I'm trying to. Okay, but like minimum pressure right now with like Gone and Killua and that time have only been like practicing their 10 up level and powers around like Killua right now talking about like taking it to like the next level with like learning that to attaining Hatsu like me was the ultimate technical part so like I'm like Killua right now coming up with like the idea to like basically go back and head back to Wing and train once again get training from Wing to basically for them to attain Hatsu is like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like this is like the strategy that I'm looking like within like the few days that will be left before the exam like I'm looking like Gone and Killua and looking like heading over to like and searching for like Wing and by the time they will be making it to Wing I'm looking like Wing right now like the person won't be back in like the Heavens Arena direction Wing. So that definitely was a very question right now. So basically with that Zushi and Wing's like current situation would be like basically this entire time like I'm looking like Zushi because Wing might have been training Zushi to like progress further in like the Heavens Arena at like that absolute low pace. It's like slow but like well and proper pace. Just like pace is like the scenario that I'm looking. So like I'm looking like Lucy's journey in like the Heavens Arena might have only been might have only decided to like temporarily end that Lucy's journey in the Heavens Arena for that year. Only just recently, just now, it's definitely one of the things. So like right now, that would be the scenario with like the current situation with like Lucy and Wing right now, it's definitely one of the things. So like I'm looking like right now, like Lucy as well as Wing would be back to their for to Wing classes that name with the support uh, that Wing will be totally having this like class and like Wing would be like uh, they are like basically teaching sushi. It's like would be like the current situation with like Wing and Lucy is new tradition. So like I'm looking like eventually by the time like Dawn and Killua right now, Killua and Hatsu like by the time they're just searching for Wing and finding Wing like they will be also like meeting. It's like the scenario that I'm looking at. That when them also meeting sushi. It's like the scenario that I'm looking at. That when I'm definitely putting like Wing while Killua and Dawn would tell him Wing that like they want to attain Hatsu like at that point I was put like for being straight away telling Gon and Killua to like fight off against Sushi first. So like I was looking like at that point I was looking like Gon and Killua would be like totally shocked, but like by like the power of prayer of Sushi is like the scenario that I'm looking at. That way like we'll be getting a lot of spotlight with like Sushi's training the top showcase that would be like so extremely powerful that like I'm looking like Sushi would be so like since like I think like Sushi was like a manipulator and type like I'm looking like he's like actually so that fight like I'm Lucy bringing out like special essence and powers of like manipulator and type and Lucy might be able to like by now Lucy might be like through the constant training Lucy might be able to like might be able to like use like 10 rent as well as like so technical manipulation. Lucy might have not reach Hatsu but like Lucy might be able to use like Zetsu as well like one like technique even more than Swan and Kid was also like a possible element. In that way, like Swan and Kid was struggling against like the team that fight. Was like shockingly struggling against the team that fight reflects the scenario that I'm still. Yeah, like I was looking like at that point Gon and Kid were being totally shocked. And then like I was looking like Gon and Killua and see like once again like exactly like before like once again them have being trained by being as like the scenario that I'm looking for. And so that way, like I'm doing like still once again, like Ron Silva would be absolutely in the hurry to basically attain Hatsu by September 10th. So like I was like so it's still I'm looking like by that on the very last day. previous day before September 10th, when I'm preparing like Gon and Killua would be like successfully mastering like both Setsu as well as like finally attain Hatsu. It's like the scenario that I was preparing. So like that happening on the previous day of like September 10th is like the scenario that I'm preparing. Still my preparations are like still right now I'm preparing still on that exam on September 10th and like the certainty is often like I'm preparing like still like in that example, like gone until you are really only taking off games like the kind of members and that in that exam, like really gone and still you are even with the transfer powers will be still struggling against like those two random problems. And that will be when like the Bagnoda special ending up being through and basically ending up Bagnoda playing which ending up like forcing that power upgrade for like gone until you are using the twist like solely due to that like gone until you are only one powering and defeated like those two random programs or like in scenario that I'm sitting on and the impression. Yeah, so like the name of the impression right now, but like things as well as like the other one of the friends on the right now is already entering into the degree and get the new impressions that like the scenario that I'm looking is like really without much creative like background being called and informed by like husband about like the career and gaming so like I'm looking like that was straight away ordering Setsugara to like get back like the career and game. So like at that point like some Setsugara as well as like a bunch of like batterers men like basically showing up and to like the run for base and I'm going like without much great difficulty I'm going to like them like difficulty I mean like defeating that's the kind of it's also like about the dynamics because like Setsugara and like still while I'm connected to the radar, we might have not reached like completed like 80% of like the career running game and so we were talking about like him like playing ineffectively even more that would be like a total flop. Still I was Suzugara might have only made it to like that halfway set point of like the entirety of like the career running game, especially in the generation. So and that ring that Suzugara had shown Gone and Killua like if he's using that ring like Suzugara might only be able to like leave from like the redirect from the like the redirect game as for like removing like the memory card while someone is like playing in like the redirect game. For that like I would bring that Gone like Nens ring alone would be like so making would be like the only item that would like make that possible, especially the emotion. So like Suzugara ring won't be able to like do that, the emotion. So like I was like yeah, like Sasugara even making it to like according to the mention like Sasugara even making it to that halfway checkpoint enough of like a progress within like the real game would be that due to like Sasugara being so exceptionally strong to like to be in like a totally different league when compared to like the current development as well as like members revolution. So considering like right now for like scenario to be like Sasugara and like a bunch of like the strongest men of like in like the team army of like that were like that was sending all of them and basically like one of them going up to like the base of a random drop easily defeating like the random drop and taking those taking that location with that those two memory cards of that in which like things as well as the other random group member are playing in like the redaling in like Amazon like Sasugara like basically bring that back to like that was like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like I'm looking at eventually like I'm looking like don't until yes so like I'm looking at two other random group members still was like would be like most likely entering into that exam. They are like gone until you are participating in like certain these option in like such of attendance like the scenario that I was doing. And I was like certainly still my first impression that like after that I'm gone and definitely passing that exam by defeating those final four members. And then I'm going to like then I was like definitely like by John and Killua would be like meeting up with like Badra like at that point I was like Badra only telling John to like basically to give us like and then arrange to like Badra. So like at that point I was like Sasugara like taking that and then ring and basically like removing like the removing like the save data card of like both removing the memory card of both things as well as like the other financial member like the scenario that I'm using that entering like the scenario that I'm doing. That's when I'm looking like as like the situation would be like Donna Kidu about to enter into like the grade again. And so like right then self when so the would be removed like the memory card of both uh memory card of both both fix as well as the other final remember at that point I was like one of those band of members like basically unfortunately it would be things like when it would be like the other fans of members that have entered that like it, once like the memory card would be taken out like that fan of member so they are returning back to like the real world as like a dead body that new member brain. So like that fan of member might have only died within like the Great Island game by that like the scenario where I'm right. But like in the but like like in the case of like things and like things that would be like by the time things should be like the memory card will be pulled out and things should be returning back like Amazon like um things would be like totally extremely traumatized and extremely scared of going of like the experience like he might have had within like the career and again but like Gona Silva before entering into like the career and again what they would be witnessing would be like an extremely scared and traumatized like thing and like possibly like a dead body of that one other that other friend like the scenario that I'm looking that way like after to be after seeing this that I'm looking on and Killua to be entering into like secretary and game like scenario that I'm looking at so like my governor appreciate that like if it is like basically one someone dies within like the dining game like I think like basically their body like that body appears in like the real world like I was like so maybe I was going right up like so Sugara would be about to pull out like the mentally would be about to pull out the memory card of like the kind of members those two kind of members like I was like right as he would be about to pull the memory card of the first memory card like at that point in time he might have like that kind of member might have died within like the video editing game and so like it's off like showing up into like the real world is like the scenario that I'm playing. So like right then like Setsubara pulling out that memory card and basically once Setsubara was pulling out the next memory card like I was thinking, at that point like I was thinking some exceptionally strong monster in like the video editing game might have taken the life of that might have right then said taken the life of like that other planet remember and might have then about to take the life of that thing when that was actually like totally favoring things to like especially maybe at that the last second that and different Tesugara might be like pulling out like the memory card of things and things basically being able to like escape from that monster from like the Great Island game the Princess life and basically things are going back to like the real world and fix at that point being like totally stopped and scared and traumatized that point like the scenario that I'm doing and go on and you are seeing this before right before entering into the Great Island game like the scenario that I was looking at, still thinking on the unnatural emotion. And also my good mission, but like it will most likely like once like Sasuga and like a bunch of bodyguards of that would be like showing up and defeating like the 10% and possibly taking back their to station and re-running game. At that point, I was like it would be that defeat that would be totally causing like a bunch of kind of members would totally that like take part in that exam and concert the jump up and for like the to enter like the career island game and usually that it would be that defeat that I'm looking like creating that episode within that when the plan to problem was to like take part in that exam is definitely one of the revision. Definitely among those kind of problems that will be taking part in that exam. Like the on September 10th, I'm definitely like shall would definitely be present as definitely my framework. And shall definitely would be also entering into like I'm looking like shall as well as maybe two other kind of members like I'm referring that would be like I mean, like will be entering into that would be entering into that exam and I'm sure like while Swan and Killua might be like the ones they would be defeating would be like the other final terminals and the like Shell definitely will be like passing that exam and I'm sure maybe for along like Swan and Killua Shell as well they be like entering into like the career writing game and it's also like a possibility that I'm doing and I'm trying okay, so like the minimum brain position right now with like being totally strictly warning that I'm going to never use like Oratica's technique to get stronger. Like my question that like the reason might be due to like with like Oratica totally feeling off right now, even though Oratica has worked out like I'm looking the reason might be due to like basically the name change of Oratica might even tie into that the target soul as well. Definitely brain. So like even after that, like I'm looking at the soul of that Wogan as well as like the soul of Parthenoda might be still tied to the name chains of like Torapika. So also definitely one of the things. So like I'm doing like at times like I'm doing like Torapika like Wogan as well as like Parthenoda's like soul might briefly take over Torapika's soul. Definitely one of the things. So like I'm doing like that way like Torapika won't be from this point on. I'm looking like Torapika not being able to stay as like Torapika It's like the scenario often like about or Rapika would be having like a personality change. So also like about that and while whenever like the souls of like Rapinora and Woken will be taking over Rapika's soul, temporarily taking over Rapika's soul, like the scenario that I'm doing. So like I'm looking at this like personality shift happening for Rapika from this point on, definitely going to the so like right now at like right now gone like I remember like him asking for Rapika as to like basically Gorapika to like tell as to like what technique Gorapika had gotten used to like get stronger like during then like I'm assuming it might have not been like Gorapika's soul that might have been like within Gorapika that might have been speaking to them or maybe it might have been passing out a soul that might have been back then speaking to God certainly my was very understood. So like I was referring that to be maybe called soul chaining or something and so like I was pretty maybe it being only now that the soul chaining might have gotten activated or like I'm looking for that being only so like for Africa getting weak and to like to go against dying with maybe that for Africa getting weak and then a weekend for Africa on the verge of that like allowing for like the soul chaining to like actually to happen in that full swing. So like I'm looking that way like I'm referring like God right now when he had talked to Sorapika, like the Sorapika might have been, like it might have not seen like Sorapika, but it might have been maybe that Parthenoda's soul within the Sorapika's body that might have been fallen back to like the definitely not the embrace. So definitely I would like just soul chaining like going on for a while until like temperature like it will be like right now John and Killua are like training to like get stronger to participate and pass that exam, like I'm doing just that current training of like gone and to do eventually allowing them to be like by the time like they would be done the job training and by the time they would have passed the exam and like by then like I'm looking like the growth in their strength like and the all the knowledge that they will be learning and like all the growth in power that they will be gaining by then would be that allowing them most likely go up to do or like both of them with that combined effort to be able to like create that whole chain of like what is like what Apia will be having. And basically that way like the soul of that organ as well as like the soul of that Pantanara will be tied currently tied to that Kurapika soul due to that Kurapika like change it from that those two soul like that chain like about from that going to do using the upgraded manpower like breaking that chain of that Kurapika that invisible kind of chain of developing and that way that them that might exist and this invisible kind of like a chain that might exist and like go on to using the upgraded manpower like breaking that chain of trying to Rapika so intellect region as well as destroying that and cutting off like the chain of like the soul of like Rapika tying to that like ties to that partner as well and that way like so that soul of that Logan as well as that Parthenoda being released to like the afterworld or something and with like the scenario that I'm doing and that way like Sorapia finally being able to like Sorapia soul finally being able to like fully return back to that Sorapia's body and it will be only at that point that Sorapia will be once again that being back to that her normal self. It's like the eventual scenario that I'm basically bringing in. Okay, so like the name of the reaction right now as for like just by practicing running as well as time alone that the ultimate technique of like the which like wing believes that the enhanced compound will be able to like achieve like that ultimate technique I'm considering like will be a whole lot similar to like the powers of Wogan the name of the because like since like Wogan as well as like an enhancer like a different that extreme intensity in that working like punches and like that is what I'm also trying like one would be like thing would he only believing has like the ultimate technique which like one will be able to like achieve and reach the new principle like that way like I'm looking that even though like I'm looking that since like there's only like few just very few days before like that exam that I'm gone not being able to like achieve that ultimate technique to its like of that working to its like full of potentials like the scenario that I'm like I'm because maybe with scenario to be that don't only being able to like won't be able to like cover that body with like the this is like manpowers to get like the very same toughness in like defense that like Sivogan has but like I was like in terms of like attack power, like basically I'm just like gone, like basically through the his training of like Ren and Ten alone, like understanding that wants that attack powers, like basically that reaching the point of like if even surpassing that Vogt's power. So like that way like wants like punches and then covered like punches and kicks. Like that would be surpassing even the intensity of that of that even Vogt's the new operation. But like defense wise, like solely due to that there being not enough time for like going to like properly train like different ways still gone like different manpower net quoted defense like that being still lower than the defense that like European have. It's like given the scenario that I'm looking so like think Amazon needs to be with this like high enhancer enhancer level attack power that Amazon like gone will be entering into like the exams the minimum for Amazon and Amazon like in that exam like Amazon like gone to definitely perform even better than Killua like slightly better than Killua like the scenario that Amazon looking at. Also, definitely my documentary interest right now has got like as part of that Killua secret brain that Killua right now fire a taser on so that Killua just like definitely one of the mentioned right now for like Killua's plan would be to like not just to like rely on ten and run but like also to like use it to like get to and reach Hatsu and maybe using that power of Hatsu for like Killua to like control like the small electric shock of like that taser onto his and to like for like to be able to like absorb that electric shock, tiny electric absorb and amplify that tiny electric shock from like the taper. And basically for Killua to be able to like maybe pass it on to throughout like that electric shock of like the taser like for Killua to be able to like pass it to like the other arm is it other to both of his arms and maybe to his like feet as well and basically like to intensify his like kind of like punches and kicks by like amplifying like the electric shock of like the taser on his like and bringing it towards like towards his like fist as well as his like and that way, that particular like Killua would be like that would be what Killua secret training would be like, and that way like possible that Killua while going up for like exams would be having that highly electrically charged like and highly electrically charged like punches and kicks. So, like the scenario that I'm looking while in parallel also like God's power would be like solely by like relying on his like enhancing his like run as well as pen alone like bonds being able to like cover with like both of his like this as well as with the both of his like with his like enhancer and power and basically that way bonds that punches and kick like basically like reaching like new levels of like enhancement of like force power like the scenario that I'm looking that would be even surpassing that of like the attack power of Wogan like the scenario that I'm looking like bone covering his like fist and his leg with like which is like superior then covered fist and legs of bone is what I'm going to bring while like in the case of Killua it would be like pretty charged like fist as well as like that with which like I'm like Killua and John would be like entering into like the exams specifically and taking part in like the exams that he might have been. So like, in short, like my preparation is that right, John would be like naturally like enhancing his like enhancer then types to basically like increase like crazy intensify like the power of like punches as well as kicks. Like I'm just saying that for Killua who's not an enhancer in a type like for Killua to be able to like match up and or even get close to like and then like that superior punches and kicks. So like I'm looking at Killua would be forced to like rely on techniques like using like the taser the electrical charge and coating and covering his like as well as like the electrical charge of like the taser to have the like punches as well as he get at least reach like almost equal or like even near to like the levels of like the punch and kick gone right now it's like the scenario that I'm also bringing up the okay, so like the name of the reimbursement right now has for like the hint wings gives to that gone even being to like basically use going to use all three techniques of like 10 Zetsu as well as Ren all together all at once to get to like a differently so like how exactly the ultimate technique would be like a different like right now the different like Gon would be like most likely it will be most likely to like basically create like a lot of 10 aura and then to contain it with like simultaneously by doing all these three techniques like what would be happening would be like a lot of like 10 aura being created from within like the body and like set to like closing of the exits and then like set to being open to like unleash out the aura from within to like surround like the body with like the rent with like the get letting like the aura surround like the body with that rent power twice but like twice doing this simultaneously and also like what will be happening would be like after like the initial release of a rent and basically rent that way like the aura surrounding God's body like once again like since it will be like once by doing all these three techniques simultaneously like after like surrounding God's like body with like the rent aura like still more 10 would be like might be like getting created from within gone that way like they're being like aura like on like the interior of God's body like getting filled with like aura as well as the exterior of God's body even surrounded by like the rent aura as well as like the two as well happening and the split between like the interior aura and like the exterior aura like happening as well. So like I'm going like that way like at that time like whenever Bond would be like attacking like it would be just like the rent powers like the only the exterior aura powers alone with which like Bond might have been able to like attack opponents in that time. But like once like Hatsu would be achieved by doing all the three techniques like simultaneously at once. Like once Hatsu would be achieved like at that point like each punch and each kick of Bond, each attack of Bond would be like having like the interior aura as well as like the exterior aura as well packed into that punch, each punch and kick that Leo was mentioned. This will be like the power and the intensity of that Sivogan attack. Might have been like the power and intensity of Sivogan's attack is definitely mentioned. So like this would be like the true hardcore power. So like I was saying like this is what like Swan is here right now achieving most likely achieving by like doing all of the three techniques like 10 as well as like the two as well as like when all together and basically I'm going like still like I'm going on maybe to like struggle a bit to perfect it definitely my brain and I'm going like John or like I'm going like John most likely that we're struggling to like perfect it even towards like the since like there's only few days for like the exam about even in like the last day like I'm born would be like still struggling to like perfect like the hard to like the scenario that I'm looking so like I'm looking maybe it would be like so like I'm looking like one would be even entering like the exam in an insecure manner because like one skill would might have not have perfect like have to like the scenario that I'm looking on the other just on the other side like but like Killua would have only perfect it's like it's just like had to even before that took me on the station but like I'm but like in that fight of gone in that exam would be when like that intense pressure like forcing gone to be able to like perfect it Hatsu's mid battle, and that battle would be fight would be in that exam will be against like a plan broken up the friends. And once that gone with the purpose finding perfecting that Hatsu his Hatsu that at that point I was next the enhancer Hatsu power of Gone would be that at that point like the attacks of Gone would be like even surpassing that of like the Vogan attack powers is definitely on emergence. So like with that like I'm Gone thoroughly indicating that one kind of open back against whom that Gone would be facing off in that example like the scenario that I'm so it as well would be that ending up facing off against like a kind of open but in that exam as well, like the in the scenario that I'm doing. And Killua as well would be totally or warrior defeating that kind of open but it's like in that exam, it's definitely a great and that way go on as well as Killua passing that exam is like in the scenario that I'm looking at of very interesting right now. So like basically from the different person this will be like this might be like the ultimate technique of Hatsu. So that name of premise and knowing that the technique of Hatsu with like the ultimate perfection would be only possible for like enhancer and enhancer alone. Like only should be only possible for like to be able to do Hatsu with that absolute perfection for like the enhancer and type alone is definitely one of the frame. So this will be what like makes like the enhancer NAND type is so extremely powerful and basically like when compared to other types, especially mitochondrial infection. So like mitochondrial infections that like every other type that's not an enhanced type would have to like find a workaround for like all the other types to be able to like match up to or then be able to like bring down type. Like they would have to like they would definitely have to like find a workaround uh, due to that all of the other types having that hopefully having that ultimate disadvantage of like not being able to like perform pursuits at like its full potential of that with that perfection is certainly my the impression right now. So like the Lima impression right now is that they right now Killua with like gaining like the electric power through like the taste of like usually like that would be that Killua without realizing that Killua like finding his like type since it's not an enhance of type like his type find uh Killua without being aware like still finding a workaround to match up to like the strength of like or get close to like the level of strength of like an enhance of type it would be what's happening with that kid was training right now. It's definitely with Rangers. Obviously, like definitely with Rangers right now with like Zerpile right now making 1 billion zenny for like Gon. And like with like Zerpile and Gon right now thinking that Gon would be able to like get back as like 100 license from like the pound shop. Like I'm just like that by the time Gon will be making it to like the pound shop. Like by then like I'm looking that it's intended the deadline as well. I'm going to bring maybe 40 over. So like I'm looking like maybe that by now like I want like hundred license might have got sold to like somebody else from unknown stranger certainly never great person. So like that way that gone and subsequent by the time gone will be that bringing that one to the Delhi and then into like the pound shop that thing will be able to like get back that kind of place that one like gone at that one getting like the shocking news that basically is that kind of like it's not there anymore. It's like sort of to like some unknown stream. So like from that point on, I'm looking for like in the middle of like this like whole situation with like not only having like very few days to basically train for like that uh for that exam to like entering to like a grade again even in such a tight situation like don't also having to like deal with like basically with like this like him losing his like 100 places that will look like the scenario that I was without it. So like I'm like gone like basically gone training like stopping midway and basically it would be like even within that few days like it would be like gone first with like Killua or like maybe gone all by himself maybe that on a quest to like maybe to find his like find and get back his like find and get back his like under like like the scenario that I'm looking for like by the time Spawn will be getting back finding and getting back his like under like by the number of the like and by the I'm going to getting back like by the number of the like it will be like the last day of like before like by then like I'm going to take the very next day it will be like when like the exams will be like the scenario that I'm looking that way born not even though born having possibly figured that basically has to like how to use it like ultimate technique still like wants not being able to like train enough with that ultimate technique. So like I'm wondering like even without being able to like train enough at all, which is like ultimate technique like having no time left being forced to that and participate in like that exam and basically to perfect his like ultimate training technique curing that is in like the extent will be the eventual situations that one will be having going through eventually like the eventual scenario that I'm doing. So like I'm shooting him out to that like one will be fighting off one fight in that exam will be against like one of like the fan from member and like to be in that fight like initially I'm even gone will be trying to that use that technique of that Hatsu trying to that plot all those like different techniques together and we start to but like I'm doing like things like this because of like Ron not having much of an experience like using Hatsu at all like I'm doing like Ron initial attempt Ron repeatedly attempting to like use Hatsu like in that fight but like all that attempts failing and basically Ron taking a lot of injury and damage from his like opponent in that fight in that exam but like I'm doing eventually as like Ron will be like back to a corner. Like at that point, like I'm when the pressure totally forcing and making it impossible for them to like finally be able to master up like hard to that's the scenario that I'm going to like with that hard to power like I'm going to go on defeating that that Phantom Probe member in that whole exam fight with like the scenario that I'm doing. That way, go on passing that exam is like the scenario that I'm doing. And so like definitely we're trying option right now for like the side effects of all that and conditions and like the change in powers that for Africa had been used like basically which that don't have in fact noticed and like Leoreal that might not only notice this definitely prison, which has basically even proved that the phone had told gone that is that Wing to totally knows. And in the case of Wing, like definitely Gone might have told Wing about like the net conditions that Kurapika had made on like to strengthen up her change age and change power. Like one of like the net condition was like on Kurapika's like on Kurapika's heart and like the other was on Kurapika's scarlet dimension. Definitely like Kurapika's I think like Kurapika's the net condition that Kurapika had made on like the scarlet type of like Kurapika was something along the lines of like really to basically always maintain a peace of mind, like simply like definitely my friends like prove like search for Africa's journey to like bring down like the final proof like definitely for Africa's that would might have definitely not been able to like maintain that peace of mind. So like definitely like the side effects right now, which like born as well as like Leorin might have only noticed with like for Africa would be most likely for Africa most likely like either it's ambassador to public either it could be like my commentary about like the soul change scenario of like a situation with like for Africa or like the other possibility that I'm looking is maybe that like Kurapika's eyesight would be like slowly fading bit by bit depending on the image. So like kind of like in a not extreme slow manner, like it would be kind of like in a scary manner, like Kurapika's eyesight would be like reducing like the scenario that I'm considering that might be the reason for like Kurapika like staring close to that cone while speaking with Ron just now. It's also the Limb Premiation as well as like the current episode even ending with like Leorio like closing this door to this room where like I think like Kurapika was after like Kurapika leaving and that door like the moment Leorio closing that door like then basically that room being filled with like absolute darkness like I'm thinking that would be like a foreshadowing of like the eventual situation that would be like up ahead for like Kurapika, where like Kurapika would be like Kurapika's eyesight would be like slowly fading more and more as like the side effect of like breaking the net conditions that Kurapika might have made on her scarlet eyes in the minimum frame impression. So Kurapika would be like slowly like turning blind each day. As each day passes, like Kurapika would be like slowly and slowly but surely moving towards like turning blind with like my secondary impression as for like what like scenario of this like what a situation with like Kurapika would be the minimum frame also. So like I'm saying like the initial scenario that I was is like for Africa to either go fully blind or like for Africa ending up having like extremely low and like blurry kind of like vision. It would be like either one of these two scenarios that I'm looking like would be like the eventual situation that would be for Africa like the scenario that I'm looking at. Yet like I'm looking at regardless of these two situations I'm looking at still for Africa even though such a situation I'm looking still for Africa like finding her own ways, still Borussia training and getting stronger and still Borussia adapting to like that situation and still being able to like increase her strength and basically still being able to like fight with that with that critical situation is like the eventual scenario that Borussia don't eventually totally adapting to that situation. It's like the eventual scenario that I'm looking at. They was like for that like whole situation of Borussia not getting cured, but like instead like not being able to like get cured, but like for other games instead like basically adapting to that situation and still getting finding ways to like get stronger. It's like the winter scenarios that I'm looking for the